Alright guys, so we're going to go over what you need to do this tumbler. This is a very basic beginner's tutorial. You don't need a lot of supplies, and it's fairly cheap and easy to do this tumbler. So we're going to do a base coat of white gloss Rust-Oleum spray paint. I'm going to be using Denatured alcohol. Unfortunately, I'm not able to get 91% right now, so Denatured is going to have to work. I'm going to use like a little sponge brush. I'm going to be using some alcohol inks. I'm doing like a purple colored ones. You can use any colors you want for this. I'm going to be using Tim Holtz Boysenberry, Cool Perry from Tim Holtz, a Wild Plum from Tim Holtz, and I ended up using gold instead of this smolder. It didn't give me the effect that I wanted, so I decided to change it, but I'll show you that when I do use that. And just any type of paintbrush you have laying around will do. This is just like a 1/2 inch cheapo paintbrush, doesn't matter. Any type of paintbrush will work, and we're gonna go ahead and jump in. Okay, so I already did a white spray paint base on this one, and it had some imperfections, so I decided to do it for this specific one because you can kind of hide these imperfections with the watercolor, with the alcohol inks, and the one that I needed to do a base spray paint of white needed to have a perfect finish, so I decided to use it for this one. And I'm going to be using the Denatured alcohol in that little jar over there, and I just use it to dilute the alcohol when I need to, and it also gives a really cool effect with the alcohol inks, and you'll see what I mean when I start painting. So I just do basically random patches of different colors. So I started off with the Cool Perry, and I decided that it was a little too light, so I go in a second with some Boysenberry, but basically I just alternate between the colors and just dab along the colors with alcohol inks, and then I use some of the Denatured alcohol to give it like that splotchy effect. So mainly the entire tutorial is going to be me just dabbing these alcohol inks onto the tumbler, and it's pretty simple and really easy to do. So I'm gonna fast forward through this, so you don't have to watch me for 45 minutes dab on alcohol inks. But basically you just add the colors randomly and then go over it with the Denatured alcohol a little bit until you get something that you like. I decided to add some flamingo to give it a little bit of contrast because I felt like it was way too purpley, so I went and added that in. I also wanted to throw in that while I'm doing this, I actually find that it's really helpful, and it does help a lot with the effect if when it is really wet with the Denatured alcohol or the alcohol inks, that you blow on it. I don't know why I feel like it helps. It may or may not. It could just be in my head, but I find that if you blow on it and help it dry quicker, it does this like splotchy watercolor effect that I find really pretty. So I just figured I would throw that tip in there, but I'm just going to continue to add the Denatured alcohol, lighten it in spots that I feel are too dark, like right there, and keep adding the alcohol inks in random color patterns until I get to the end. I also want to add that you don't want to add the alcohol inks directly to the tumbler because it's a curved surface. So the alcohol inks will run really quickly around the entire tumbler, as well as the denatured alcohol. You don't want to add it to the actual tumbler specifically like in drops because it'll run around the tumbler. So that's why I like to use like a random piece of like the back of a piece of vinyl or a plastic plate or whatever you have around to put the alcohol inks on, so you can just dip it like paint. All right, so like I mentioned before, I didn't end up using the smolder color, so I decided to go with the gold by Tim Holtz. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna go through and I'm gonna outline some of the little areas where the colors meet with little squigglies of metallic. I think it's super pretty. It adds a little bit of character to the cup, and it's super fun. So I'm just gonna go ahead and fast forward through this because it's just me painting on little lines. It's pretty simple. So I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward through this, and I'm gonna go ahead and mention that I do use the foams from Amazon. I forget what the name of the brand is. I can link it in the comments below or the description below. For the cup holder that I have inside of the cup that you guys just saw. I know people are going to ask me because it's a pretty common question, and they're just like honeycomb foams on Amazon. They're relatively inexpensive, they last a long time, and they're super, super good. My tumbler stays put on the turner really, really well, and I have no issues with them at all. So, but yeah, so that's pretty much it. Then you can just add a layer of epoxy and add a decal or a name or whatever you guys want to do with this. Have fun with it, change up the colors. It's super easy, very basic beginner tutorial, super fun, super pretty, super elegant. These would make super good gifts for pretty much anybody. If you are making a tumbler for somebody and you don't know what to make them, this is really pretty and really easy. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments, and hopefully I helped you guys a little bit with learning how to do some watercolors. But I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and we'll see you on the next tutorial.